So Anthony Noto's buying spree continues, all right? And what we're seeing is the most amazing week for the stock market in the last roughly 4 days, actually, ever since the Federal Open Market Committee, where Federal Chairman Jerome Powell actually said that we're going to have a 25 basis point hike, or around 7 to 8 of those hikes by the end of this year. Now, this is actually a good thing. Having good news in the market or bad news in the market is something that we can predict. It's the uncertainty that really makes the stock market go down. Once we know the actual bad things that are to come, we can very easily price in the risks. So I actually want to take a look at SoFi stock, where you can see after Monday, once this last little bit of, severe red quite came in, we're actually starting to see what could have been peak fear, and now we're starting to head back up into these higher numbers, almost hitting $10 on the end of this week. It's still a long way for us to go, but there's a lot of people that are seeing some very, very hopeful things. One of them actually being Anthony Noto. So if you watched my last video on Anthony Noto buying stocks, you would have seen a chart that looks like this. Now, I've updated it to show the two most recent purchases that he's done, one day after another on the 16th and the 17th, but this is still $1.2 million that he's purchased within the last 2 weeks of March. My purchases look something like this as well. I mean, without all the zeros, but still, I am just buying every single day, trying to pick up as many as I can while we're still under this $10 range, because it's not going to stay this way forever. If we continue to add on new members, new products, new ways to monetize our investment category, or new credit cards, or everything that this company is doing, expanding on all fronts, and now coming with the new, AWS, a fintech, it's only going to continue to push forward this stock, and you're not going to see it down in these prices for too long. This is what peak fear looks like. And I know I'm going to see a barrage of comments of people saying like, oh, what a dumb move, continuing to purchase at these prices. It's going to go down to 6, or I'm going to wait till it hits 4 or $3, or whatever people are saying. And if it happens, great. But if it doesn't happen, you're never going to have bought in versus the person that actually gets to dollar cost average. So if you're absolutely right in timing the bottom, then purchasing one lump sum at a very low price is great. But if it doesn't hit that price, then you're never going to get in at all, and you're never going to actually benefit whenever it starts to turn around, like in the last 4 days where we've made this 26%. The next thing I wanted to address is SoFi's SEC filings. On my last video, a ton of people were confused in the comments, saying that they didn't quite understand how the statements were made, or maybe they thought that I was, spreading some sort of misinformation. So we're going to go through and I'll actually show you how to read these statements. That way you're not confused on the next time or any sort of stock that you might be covering. So here on SoFi's SEC filings page, you can find this on like SoFi's investor relations or any company investor relations page. Right here we have statement of changes in beneficial ownership. I've gone ahead and taken all these statements and actually organized them into 2 different categories, because in the last 2 days there's been a ton, okay? So I've organized it into stock-based compensations or individual purchases. So right here we have one of the forms for the stock-based compensation side of things, or for Michelle Gill. Now, if you remember the table that I showed you from last time, you would not really make sense of this, because you would think that, okay, she bought some that day and then she sold half of them. That doesn't really make any sense. But no, what's actually happening is that she has some restricted stock units or some options for her actual employment package or something along these lines, where she was actually executing on 256,000 units. And then she actually had to withhold about half of those for taxes, so she had to sell those, actually make up that amount. You can see this in the explanation of the responses. You can always read through. There's always some sort of number that corresponds with that will make your understanding of what's going on in these statements very, very easy. So in the last couple days, there have been 9 separate stock-based compensations for people of different sizes, and you can see this is the amount that they take on, the amount that they're actually withdrawing for taxes. Another one, this is for Robert. Thanks, Robert, for your 53,000 shares. I know, more diluting. SoFi, if they do have a problem, it's definitely going through and actually just giving a ton of stock-based compensation. But what is way cooler, and we already spoke about some of these just looking at Anthony Noto's page, are the purchases. So 2 of the 4 people are Anthony Noto, and you can see that here, but let's just go through and actually look. So the purchases, we can see Anthony Noto here actually executing on 17,000 new shares. On table 2, there's nothing here. There's no restricted units that he actually got. This is sheerly just a purchase that he's made. Code P, purchase, right? So he's actually just purchasing these shares, and you can see how many shares he does have. Someone also brought that up in my video. He's got like $20+ million in shares, but this is just new purchases that he's making. Another one here. So this one's a little bit more confusing because there's more going on. But he got 94,000 restricted units, and then he paid his taxes on it. But additionally, see, code P, he's actually purchasing an additional 34,000 shares. So he got his stock-based compensation, paid the taxes on it, and then bought an additional 34,000. He doesn't have to withhold taxes because it's not actually a stock-based compensation. He'll pay his own taxes whenever he sells the unit. But he wasn't actually the only person to purchase in just these last 2 days. So you even have Harvey Schwartz here, who actually purchased an additional 58,000 units. Okay, this is not coming from any stock-based compensation. 58,000 units at $8.83, and that brings him up to a total of 214,000 units. So he purchased an additional 33% of his entire stock holdings, just in this one day. And actually, I was looking into Harvey. He's actually a very prolific American investor. So, this guy is very, very keen with his money, but he's seeing a very good opportunity whenever it comes to SoFi. But anyway, just going back to it, we have another purchase here on the 16th of March. It says 2021, okay? But I was actually going down here. You can actually see the signature was on the 17th of 2022. I think this is actually going to get amended. So whenever you guys see that in the SEC filings, don't be worried. I think it's just a typo here. So it will be amended. This will have to go through again, but 10,000 units. And this is his first purchase of the 10,000 units as, first time being a director. So brand new purchase. Amazing to see that people are putting in good money into this stock in companies that they believe in. It is really hard whenever these stocks are just caving in around you. Your entire stock portfolio is red, and we're actually starting to go through real corrections in the stock market. And for your favorite companies to be down from $24 a share like SoFi all the way down to $7, it's really, really hard to purchase, but you have to be looking long term and realize that if you were to buy back at $7 a share and it go back up to 24, then you will have made over 3 times your money. So take advantage of these good prices. That's what I'm trying to do right now. And you can see just in the last 4 days, it recovering 26% of its value, that these things, especially if something happens with this Ukrainian war, if there is some peace talks or something that gets resolved, that this is only going to push stock prices higher as the uncertainty continues to lower over time. So obviously I'm praying for good news, but all I can do right now, I'm not trying to time the market. I'm trying to buy. And as stock prices get lower, it just looks like a better company to me, right? There's no reason that the stock price actually going down. If you say you're going to hold it for the next 5 years, why would you even care? I mean, SoFi could go to $1 for all I care. I'm not selling. So all I'm going to look at it as, wow, this is a great time to buy the dip. I can get, 8 times the amount of shares for what I could get before. And there's no reason for me to sell because the underlying business has not changed. For a lot of people, whenever the stock price goes down, they get scared because they think in the company that there's something happening that they can't see. But if you're truly looking through these companies, doing your research, there's nothing to fear because everything is transparent in the open. So do your research, do everything you can, and understand the companies that you own and double down on the ones that you have the highest conviction on. For me, my SoFi conviction is as high as it gets, and I'm going to be holding this stock all the way to 2030. And if you want to see why, you can check out my video on retiring on SoFi stock by 2030. But until next time, guys, make sure you guys like the video and subscribe down below if you want to see more financial content just like this.